personally, that resonated with us because we'd seen them so many times, and that's the ones that we had available, and you sort of just wondered about those other episodes that I haven't seen. And now with the advent of Netflix and seasoned box sets and the good old public library, we just have them all right in front of us. And it really is overwhelming. It's great. Okay, so that's enough of that. Alright, so the Enterprise is close to the Sigma 3 solar system when a Federation colony transmitted an urgent call for help. An accidental explosion basically just blew up a mining operation there. So the Enterprise heads at warp 9.1, just, right on the edge of getting there to the infamous warp 10, as we saw in our last episode, Engaged. And so they're heading there, and they're going to get there in 3 hours or so. And Riker brings a schematic from the explosion site, showing Picard that it may have been caused by the methane-like gas, as I mentioned.
Captain, I have a schematic from the explosion site. It suggests the cause may be a methane-like gas seeping in from underground.
So, Dr. Crusher is preparing for things, and I just have to comment, just real briefly here, how awesome Dr. Crusher is, and Beverly Gates just played that character so wonderfully, especially in the first season. I'd say that the first season is really my favorite season with Crusher. I really, really dig it. I dig it. I think Crusher is great, and she's definitely I hate to sound like a feminist, but she's probably the strongest female character on the show. I hate saying that. That makes me sound like such a. It's just but she really was great, very commanding, and I like that. Very much so a contrast to the original series, where all the women were kind of dainty, and I talk about that pretty crudely in episode 1.
Include a burn unit with each kit. Upon arrival, identify the most critically injured and beam them up to Cargo Base 6.
Dr. Crusher, this is the captain.
Dr. Crusher here.
Additional information. The number of colonists at the site is 504. Are you prepared for that many, Doctor?
We believe so, sir.
Captain, we are now at warp 9.1, sir.
Which will bring us to the colony in 3.2 hours, sir.
Anyway, Dr. Crusher's doing her thing. And on the bridge, Geordi, everybody's getting ready to go down to Sigma 3, the planet in that system, and gosh, just, they're rushing to help these people down there. And lo and behold, a force field of some kind just pops up, and Geordi comments about that and alerts everybody to it, and Data then recognizes it as the Q entity, that famous field that comes in. I just love that. I have memories of that as a kid. Pretty awesome.
Captain, I'm picking up a force field out there of some kind. It's almost...
The Q entity, sir. It is identical to the grid we encountered when...
It reads solid, sir.
Emergency, full stop.
Reversing power, sir.
Not now, damn it, Q.
So there it is. The Enterprise is they can't proceed on with their mission because they're stuck by that darn force field. And one thing I think is pretty awesome is that, we were waiting after Encounter at Farpoint. We were waiting to see Q and how he was going to bother the Enterprise next time. And I'm glad that it came in Season 2. I'm glad we had Q's return in Season 2 because that was, this is pretty awesome, And I think this was the only season where we had a multiple Q episode in one season, right? I don't know. Was there another season that may have had a couple of Q episodes? I'm not so sure about that. In Season 5, there weren't any Q episodes. I'm not really sure why. That's a little interesting. So the Enterprise has come at a stop, and bam! There comes the shh, the little effect, and Q is there. And he is in the form of an Aldebaran serpent? Aldebaran? I don't know.
You're no Starfleet Admiral Q.
Neither am I an Aldebaran serpent, Captain. But you accepted me as such.
And one thing about his appearance, which I thought was what I've been thinking for many years, a misconception I had about it, is that I thought that was actually what a Q looked like. I thought that's what the Q looked like. And turns out he was, just posing as some alien serpent of some kind. And I don't know why I thought that was Q for many years, because after that he says, I was some sort of alien of some kind, So I think that's kind of a cute little misconception I had. That'd be kind of neat if that actually was the Q.
Humans, I thought by now that you would have scampered back to your own little star system.
If this is Q I'm addressing, we are on a mission of rescue to where a group of badly injured...
We of the Q have studied our recent contact with you and are impressed. We have much to discuss, including perhaps the realization of your most impossible dream.
However intriguing that may be, Q, we are in the midst of an urgent journey. Once that is completed, then perhaps...
You will abandon that mission, Captain. My business with you takes precedence. If my magnificence blinds you, then perhaps something more familiar. Starfleet Admiral Q at your service.
So then the Q reappears in his awesome human form in an admiral's uniform, naturally. And this is what begins the Q wonderfully, every time we see him, he's in a Starfleet uniform of some kind, usually Picard's. Now, one thing I want to talk about with Q's appearance is this. Q can make himself look like anything, right? But Q, very much so, is a mischievous guy. He's a troublemaker, that Q, and he very much looks like that, and he talks like that. And if he has the ability to make himself look like anything, you'd think that, if I had the ability to make myself look like anything, well, I'm pretty good looking, so I'd stay the way I am. But heck, if I wasn't good looking, I wouldn't be looking the way I did. I'd make myself look like Rock Hudson or something. Or, I don't know.
Mr. Allen, I'm from the telephone company.
Well, hello.
I'm an inspector.
What would you like to inspect?
You.
Or Cary Grant.
Hello. Hannah! Hello!
But one sort of little fun theory I have is that when the Q transforms himself as a human, takes on that human form, it's as if he really was human, and he sort of lets fate take that into its own account, right? So he's not cell for cell constructing his own face in body. It just appears that way because, sort of, if he converted himself into a human, that's just how he would happen to look like. I've sort of imagined that over the years as well.
Well, he's got us there, Captain.
Ah, the redoubtable Commander Riker, whom I noticed before. You seem to find this all very amusing.
I might, if we weren't on our way to help some suffering and dying humans who...
Your species is always suffering and dying.
So what is Q here to do? He's just there for his usual fun and games, or so we assume, and we'll get into that later, of course. What does Q really want with the crew of the Enterprise, and what's his deal anyway? What's Q's deal? But anyway, Q says he has impossible dreams to offer everybody, and Picard argues that he'll listen to what he has to say if he'll just let them go to the dying colonists already, because these people are dying, man. It's violent, and we see everybody later on when they finally get to go there, and it's not pretty. But Q naturally refuses. And something I thought was very interesting is how, Picard is sort of, as he's talking with Q, like, what right do you have, Q, to, that sort of, oh, that was my worst Picard impression on this show yet. But, as he's talking with Q about things, and talking about how Q was in the wrong for, how he, or, Picard's just more annoyed at the guy for how Q has treated them in the past. And he mentions Encounter at Farpoint and how, there was that post-atomic 21st century court of horrors.
When this rescue is completed, I am prepared to listen carefully to whatever proposal you wish to make, and subject to its being acceptable.
Subject to your own foolish human values? Oh, come, Picard, why do you distrust me so?
Why? At our first meeting, you seized my vessel. You condemned all humans as savages. And on that charge, you tried us in a post-atomic 21st century court of horrors where you attacked my people.
Ah, what a line. And this is what I want to talk to you about in that line there, is how awesome that in the Star Trek